Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us so much. My name is Joe Forte. I work at the New Jersey Civil Service Commission. And on the call, I have my colleague, Dominic Norwood. Today, we're going to give a nice presentation on how to apply to state and local jobs and go over the civil service system. But before I do, my colleague, Dominic Norwood, is going to talk about a minute or two about her experience being a recent grad and what it's like to start working. So without further ado, Dominic, do you want to take over and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi. So my name is Dominique Norwood, and I did 2 years of college at Essex County in the North Campus, and I did 2 years and I finished my last 2 years at William Patterson. So while I was finishing maybe my last three, maybe four classes, that was when I went for the internship. And while I was working for the internship, they decided to keep me as a temp. And literally March 16th is when I was actually made to, stay permanent. I'm actually still currently in my probationary period now, so that you get a feel of how new I actually am. So while I was interning, I was doing many different things. So I was helping prepare for job fairs, the annual diversity summit that we usually have. And I was also helping prepare for the diversity and inclusion council for the state, which I'm a part of now with Joe. It's definitely been a journey. I did news clips when I first came as an intern. Joe actually was working in communications. So I was learning the ropes of communications a little bit, and I was doing a little bit of both, a little bit of everything. But now that I'm permanent, I do more of just the job fairs with Joe, the information sessions like these. We help set up things for Diversity and Inclusion Council for the state. Like I said before, I was helping set up for it, but now I'm a part of it, on it. It's definitely a great experience to have. Like this job, not only benefit wise or pay, but just everything that you learn. It's good to take it all in. It's really good stuff that you can use anywhere you go. So I hope that this presentation that we give to you, you take heed to everything that we say, because it will help you in the long run.
Thanks, Dominic. That's great. Always love to hear that fresh perspective. Let's give Dominic a little round of applause. Thank you, Dominic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start our presentation. We have a PowerPoint about 35 minutes long. During the presentation, feel free to put any of your questions in the chat, and Dominic and I will keep a look at. And then towards the end, we'll leave about 10 or 15 minutes for Q&A. Just so you can gauge your schedule, I would say we'll be done by about 7 p.m. So it'll take about an hour. So without further ado, let me start the video, and thank you for joining us. So you can think of the New Jersey Civil Service Commission as the HR arm for the state. We train, hire, and recruit over 180,000 state and local employees. Out of all the 21 counties, all of them are civil service except Somerset County. And out of the 500 plus towns, about 380 are civil service. So what that means is this is the way that the state of New Jersey does the hiring. For those of you that aren't familiar with what the civil service system is, when we have a position, we'll post for it, we'll have an exam, and the top 3 people on the exam get an offer for an interview. And the reason why we do this is we want to make sure that we're hiring the best and brightest for the position and make sure that it's all fair. If you're not familiar with the history of the New Jersey Civil Service Commission, pre-1908, if we had a job position and I said, hey cousin, we have a job opening, would you like to get hired? That is one way that someone might have gotten hired for the position, and that's not really fair, right? So 1908, we copied after the federal system. It's very similar, where again we have that job posting, we'll post it, folks will apply to take the exam, and then the top 3 people get hired for an interview. Folks that are part of the civil service system, they have what's called union protection, they have permanent status, so it's difficult to get fired or let go from the position. And the reason why we have this is every time a new governor, if they came into office and they fired all of our government workers, we wouldn't be able to get anything done, right? So we got to make sure that government is efficient, working for the 9 million residents that serve New Jersey. And this is why we have that system. So we're going to go through our PowerPoint to give you more insight on what that looks like, what kind of job opportunities are at the state level and local and county, and kind of divide up the different state agencies to give you a better idea. Now, if you go to our home page, you'll see the URL on the left-hand side. You're just going to want to click on that, and it'll bring you to our homepage. I usually go to a search engine such as Google, and I'll just type that in, and then it'll bring you to our homepage. You'll see on the left-hand side, it says Job Seekers. You'll click on that. It says Job Announcements. Towards the middle, we circled it in red, and you're just going to click on that button. At the Civil Service Commission, we recruit for all types of careers. And looking through our job announcements, you're going to see opportunities for police, firefighters, correction officers, social workers, program specialists, nurses, engineers, medical clerks, behavior therapy assistants, librarians, psychologists, and so many more. Prior to COVID-19, I would say that we would have about 280 job positions on our website at any given month. However, with COVID-19, we have kind of paused some of our testing, and I'll go into further detail on that in a little bit. However, the reason why we have so many job postings is because at any given time, we might have someone that retires, maybe they got promotion, maybe they went to a different state agency. Again, we have over 180,000 state and local employees, so you can see why there, will be a lot of positions open on our website. I would say any given week, there's about 30 or 50 postings on our website. So you really want to pay attention to it, and we'll go towards the end and go over what's on our website so you can get a better idea of what opportunities are out there right now. Some recent highlights at the Civil Service Commission and throughout the state are our law enforcement exam. We train and recruit and test over 30,000 law enforcement applicants. We have our trainee positions. Our trainee positions are really nice pathway into state government. It's the only position in state government where you don't need to take an exam to become that permanent status employee and get that union protection. You would be in the position for 1 year as a testing period. You're considered full-time in the sense that you get pension credits, healthcare, full salary. However, you're not part of the union until after that 1 year period. So this is something that's really nice to consider. If you're a recent grad, we like to promote it to them. A lot of folks can apply to it. Anyone can apply to it. But the reason why I say that recent grad is the salary usually starts at about $40,000 to about as high as $60,000. So for a family of 4 and a mortgage, that might be a little bit more difficult to do. But for a recent grad, it might make sense to apply to. And then we're going to highlight our county and local jobs that you can consider applying to. Some careers to consider in the social science related careers are the Department of Children and Families, Department of Education, Health Department, Higher Education, Human Services, and Department of Military Veteran Affairs. Some examples are nurses, social workers, and educators. We then have in our science, technology, engineering, mathematical and STEM related careers. Think about the Department of Agricultural, Board of Public Utilities, Community Affairs, Department of Environmental Protection, Health Department, Information Technology, Transportation, and some examples of some positions in these departments are engineers, solar project specialists, road workers, information specialists, and building inspectors. Um, what I really like about some of these that's really interesting is, for example, Department of Agricultural, they do work on the farming in New Jersey. However, something that you wouldn't normally think about is their hemp program. They work with the Department of Health to put together and work on the medical marijuana program. So that's something that's really interesting that you might have not thought about originally. Also, Board of Public Utilities. For those of you that don't know them, they regulate your cell phone and electric bills. So the reason why you might have AT&T or Verizon, or even your PSE&G for your heating and electric, is because of Board of Public Utilities. They're very big on solar and renewable energy. They're building wind farms all throughout the state. And what's something that's really nice is they have heating and electric assistance. So in the summer and winter months, if you have any friends or family that need assistance, you can call their customer service program and they'll help you get in touch with folks to get help with that. We then have our business, customer service, and finance related careers. So you can think about, for example, Department of Banking, Department of Motor Vehicles, Treasury, Community Affairs, and State Department. Some examples of some current job openings are risk management, accountants, financial examiners, and customer service reps. And what's really nice, for example, with motor vehicles is motor vehicles is actually in every county. So I don't want you to think that applying to state jobs is only in Trenton, because Department of Motor Vehicles actually has an office in every county. So if you're from Hudson County or Hunterdon or Mercer or Cape May, wherever you are throughout the state, you could apply to a position. They have positions all over, from customer service to supervisors and managers, and that's something to consider. There's also other offices that are statewide as well. For example, Department of Labor, they have the Employment Career Centers. They help folks with job training and unemployment benefits. These are in every county, as well as Department of Human Services. They work with folks with disabilities and senior programs. You might be familiar with the SNAP Assistance Program, the food program that helps people. And then Department of Children and Families, I know they have offices in New Brunswick and Cape May County, so they're all over as well. So it's a really nice opportunity to apply to some of these jobs. We then have our legal public safety related careers. So think about the Attorney General's Office, Department of Corrections, Homeland Security, law enforcement, law and public safety, state parole board, and again, that Department of Military Affairs. And some examples of job positions in these departments are correction officers, counterterrorism analysts, and state police. Something to consider, we're always recruiting for correction officers. And what's really nice about that is Department of Corrections actually offers tuition reimbursement. So it's something where if you want to go back to school, you only need your high school degree to be a correction officer. So if you want to go back to school and get your bachelor's, or maybe you have that already and want to go back to get your master's or go to law school, that's something that you can consider, and it's a really nice opportunity to do that. We then have our human resource related careers. So again, I mentioned that Department of Labor, how they work with folks at the employment offices. Something that's really interesting is Governor Murphy had signed into law to increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2024. So working with analysts, some of the team, they, work on policy with that, and so much more. And then you have our agency that Dominique and I work at, the Department of um, Civil Service Commission. And the Civil Service Commission, what's really interesting about us is besides being the HR arm for the state, we help train and recruit our state employees. We also offer free um, free training to current employees. Once you get hired, you can actually take these free trainings to get more training on the job. So, for example, I took HTML courses. I used to be our public information officer. I had to update the website pretty often. So, I wanted to improve my HTML skills. I also took business writing and public speaking. I know, Dominique, you took Microsoft Office, right? Um, to become more proficient in these programs. The reason I mention the free training once you get hired as a state employee and local is we know that folks like to have ongoing job training. They like to feel like they have career advancement, that they have the ability to be able to get ongoing training, be able to apply to supervisor or manager positions. And these free trainings are a really nice way to do that. So I just want to point that out so you can keep that in mind once you do get hired. Some benefits of working in state government, besides our health benefits program, I mentioned again how about half of the state departments offer tuition reimbursement. If you do get an interview, I would make sure you ask that HR manager that you're interviewing with and see if they have tuition reimbursement. I feel like it's more the larger agencies, but it's definitely worth asking and to something to consider. We have really good paid holiday and vacation time, paid sick leave, um, and then also paid family leave. So, Governor Murphy, early on in his administration, he actually had signed into law um, extended paid leave. So I believe now it's up to 3 months, and it's up to either 65 or 85% of your full pay. And that's really nice if you're thinking about starting a family or maybe you have to take care of a sick loved one. That's something that you can consider, in the back of your mind. We also have life insurance for current employees and the employee pension system. And I know that's something a lot of you might not think about, but the private sector pensions really aren't that common anymore. So the fact that the state employees and local employees get a pension, that's something I can't stress enough how good that is. It's not uncommon for an employee to make, maybe 50 or 60,000 when they're first starting out in government. And then the time they are in government for, 15, 20 years, they're entitled to automatic increases in their salary. So, they might retire making 120, 100,000, dollars a year, and then the time they retire, they'll be making 50 or 60,000 for the rest of their life. So that's something really to consider. It's something that's really nice. We also have the intergovernmental transfer program. So once you get hired, if you want to transfer throughout state agencies or at that county and local level, you could do that. We mentioned our employee trainings. We have employee discounts for state and local employees. Our paid leave for annual military training, paid jury duty, vision care, dental, prescription plans. And what I can't stress enough that I really like is the diversity inclusion programs and initiatives. Besides Dominique and I, having to plan these initiatives for the state workforce and through our office, I can't stress enough how LGBT friendly state government is, how family friendly it is. We have about 3 different shifts that you could work. You can either work from 7 till 3, 8 to 4, 9 to 5. So if you need to take care of a loved one, or drop them off or pick them up at daycare, or maybe you're considering going back to law school or grad school, and you need to have that flexible schedule. That's something to really think about. And again, I really can't stress enough how nice that is. And then one thing that Dominique has always likes to mention is, working in state government and local government, you're working with about 5 different generations of people in the workforce. So you're really learning from everyone. You're working with all different types of people, all different paths, and that's something that's really nice as well. So we have our different types of positions available. I mentioned earlier on about the open competitive announcements. These are our permanent status civil service positions where you're taking that exam. Think of it as you're competing against your peers for the position. The top 3 people get offered for an interview, and that's how they get hired. This is about 80% of our positions, and these are really the positions that we're promoting today, that career path into government. However, we also have our non-competitive announcements. About 15% of our jobs are like this, and what that is these are resume based, where you don't need to take an exam. You just submit your resume. It's a lot quicker. Usually, the posting will be on our website for about a month. You just copy and paste an email address to your email, and then you send them your resume and cover letter, and that is it. Now, something to keep in mind is these positions, although they're not part of the union, they're typically a little bit higher in pay. The reason why are these are really our positions where we need to hire folks in that high technical background. So maybe we need to hire an engineer that has a master's degree and needs to work at Department of Transportation to help fix that bridge. So you can kind of see how that's more of a technical background. We need to hire and be competitive with the recruiting process. So it might be at a higher pay salary. But once that bridge is fixed, after maybe 2 or 3 years, we might not need those people any longer in those positions. So they might no longer be working in state government. So you can kind of see the trade-offs. Open competitive, you have automatic increases. You're part of the union. The starting salary is a little bit lower. The hiring process is a little bit longer, where again, we have a job posting on our website. We have people fill out the application. If they qualify for the exam, we like to go by that 60-80% rule. We know that you don't have everything that we're looking for in the job description, but I like to say that we do like to have about 60-80%. You then take the exam. Once the exam is over, you will be able to get your results and see where you scored. We do sometimes have some makeup exams to take, and then those top 3 candidates get an offer for an interview, and then we have our background checks and start dates. So you can see how that process takes a little bit longer. I would say it takes about 3 to 5 months. So if you don't hear back after that time period, I definitely encourage you to follow up. You can call our information center, and they can help find out the status of your application. And then we have our temporary employee services, our TES. And what that is, that's really our part-time positions where we maybe have to hire for this season. So, for example, maybe we need to hire lifeguards for the summer or park rangers. And once the summer's over, we no longer need them to work. So they're no longer a part of, the employee system. And we do have a handful of other positions like that on our website. So something, if you're looking for immediate jobs, it's definitely worth considering. And then we have our promotional announcements. The promotional announcements are really only for current state and local employees. They're that senior, maybe you're applying to a supervisor position or manager, and only current employees can apply to those positions. So once you get hired, that's something to consider while working in government. So to apply to these positions, again, you're gonna go to our home website. You're gonna click on that job announcements, and you're gonna see a list of open testing information and job announcements. I'd like to highlight just again, the difference between competitive and non-competitive. Again, competitive, you're taking the test. The top 3 people on the exam get an offer for an interview, and that's how they get hired. They do have a testing work period of usually 3 to 4 months. So before you can join the union, you have to complete that. And if you're not a good fit, unfortunately, you might be let go. But I don't want to scare you because we know that everyone works really hard in government, and it doesn't happen often. But I just like to highlight that. And then our non-competitive, again, the non-competitive positions are those that are more technical in background. We need to hire and recruit more competitive, so the salary might be larger, but you're not part of the union, and the hiring process is a little bit different. So when you go on our website, you're going to see the open competitive positions. You're going to click on the magnifying glass, and you'll be able to see what they're looking for the exam. Now, there is a $25 application fee for applying to these positions. It's part of our state statute that was signed many, many years ago by, the elected officials and signed into law by the governor at the time. But you're going to apply, you're going to fill out an application. I really want to highlight, a couple things to pay attention to. So I'm going to read out this first example. So the first one, we have the Program Specialist 2 position. Jersey City is the hiring jurisdiction. They're the ones that are hiring for the position. And in their local guidelines passed by City Council is the position is open to first of Jersey City residents and then 2 of anyone from the United States. The closing date is April 15, 2019. This is an old screenshot that we like to just use to, show you. And then we have our closing date, May 6, 2019. So what that means that Jersey City, open to residents 1 of Jersey City and then 2 of the United States, is first they have to have someone that applies from Jersey City that scores over 70%. They have to hire that person first. Now, if no one from Jersey City applies, or no one from Jersey City gets over 70%, then they can hire anyone from the United States. So that's what that United States means. And I can't stress enough, make sure you pay attention to our closing dates, because once the position passes the closing date, it'll be taken off our website and won't be reposted until another, later on if they need to hire again or recruit for that position. I like to do a second example because I do know that this is a little confusing. So, for example, the third example, the Recreation Program Coordinator position in Bergen County. So it says 1, Bergen County. Then they can hire folks from Essex County, Hudson County, and Passaic County. So I'm from Somerset County, so I do not qualify to apply to the county position. So I hope that makes sense. I know it's a little confusing if you're not familiar with it, but that's why I wanted to go over a second example for you. We then have our non-competitive positions. Again, these are the ones that you don't need to take an exam. You're not part of the union. But I really do think that a lot of these positions are really good to apply to, especially for those folks that aren't good at test taking. So that's something just to consider. So you're going to see the PDF icon. You're going to click on that. You're going to get a 1 or 2 page PDF, and it's going to say the job description and what they're looking for. With this first example, they're looking for a bilingual family service specialist trainee position. Again, I mentioned those trainee positions we really like. You'll see at the end of a lot of positions, it'll have the title and then it'll add at the end trainee. Definitely make sure you consider applying to it. It says the jurisdiction is Department of Children and Families and it's open to residents of New Jersey. Anyone can apply to that position. So if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or maybe a family member that lives in PA or New York, they can still apply to these positions. But in New Jersey's law, it says that they have 1 year from the hiring date to move to New Jersey. They have to move or they'll be disqualified from the position. So that's something, to think about. The hiring process, again, is usually a little bit more quicker. They do have on these trainee positions, the closing date's a little bit longer. That's because, they might be recruiting for recent grads that fall or winter or spring graduation date. And, the hiring and interviewing is ongoing. So that's something definitely to consider when applying to these positions. I don't know if we have any veterans on the call, but New Jersey has what's called Veterans Preference. This is just a really nice way to say thank you to our veterans. What that means is for folks that are eligible as disabled veterans or are certified that they've served in wartime, they get automatic preference in the hiring process. So if they score over 70%, they're automatically number one during the hiring process, and we have to hire them. The disabled veterans get top priority, and then veterans that were in wartime would get the second preference. If we do have more than one veteran applying to the position, at that point it's based off of alphabetical of their last name. So that's something to also think about. If you have any friends or families members that are veterans, definitely encourage them to apply, and just, again, a really nice way to say thank you to our veterans. I kind of went over the rule of 3 and what that is. What that is, again, we have to hire the top 3 people that took the exam, and that's how they get an interview for the position. Now, this changes a little bit. So say that, candidate A, we'll call her Stephanie. Candidate B, we'll call him David. And candidate C, George, all 3 of them took the exam, and I took the exam as well. And they all got a higher position than me, but Stephanie was no longer interested in the position. Maybe Stephanie got a position somewhere else. Stephanie can then disqualify or withdraw her application from the hiring process, and then I would now be able to get an interview for the position because I'm still considered the top 3 now for the exam. I hope that makes sense. I know that's a little confusing, especially if you're not familiar with it, but I just wanted to point that out because it's pretty common where, maybe you're taking an exam. There's over 3,000 exams, just so you know as well. Each exam is for a different position. Back in the day, we used to have over just one general exam, but now we have over 3,000 exams. These exams are good for 1 to 3 years, depending on what you take. You're not able to retake them until the list expires. With the exam, at different points, people maybe, were the top 3 candidates, but maybe they weren't interested. Maybe the department got more funding, and they're now able to hire 3 or 4 candidates, or even, 5 to 10 candidates, instead of hiring for that original 1 spot. So you can see how, you might be number 10 on the list, and then, 5 or 6 months later, you now get a call for an interview because you're now in that top 3 position. So that's something, again, just keep in the back of your mind because that happens often where you might forget about it and now you're a top candidate and you might get hired and get the position and get hired. And now another thing to just keep in the back of your mind is the exam. I didn't really mention this earlier, but the exam, I mentioned how there's over 3,000. It's not really a way to study for them. It's really knowledge based. And what I mean by that is maybe you're a customer service representative at a bank and you're applying to a customer service representative position at motor vehicle department. You should have the basic understanding of what customer service representatives do. So when you're taking an exam, we're testing for your skill set and you have those basic understanding of what that position does. So again, so thank you so much for being patient and joining us on this presentation. I hope you found it was helpful. Before we go on to answer any questions and pull up our live website to go over some of the current job postings, I just want to point out our information center. I'm going to go on the next slide and show you the phone number you can call if you have any questions. This is the contact information for our information center. You can call that number, that's 609-292-4144. Again, that's 609-292-4144. I also recommend to you, if you have any favorite agencies or organizations, to make sure that you follow them on social media, because even though our agency that Dominique and I work at, we're supposed to post the job postings on our website. We also encourage folks to follow social media because a lot of those state agencies are now cross-promoting these positions on their websites, on their social media, such as Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So if you like those pages, you'll be able to get an idea right away, when they post, when these openings open up. So again, thank you so much. I hope you consider a career in state government, and let's open it up to some questions that some folks have. Great. So this is Joe live now. What I'm going to do is before we open up to some questions, I just want to exit out of this PowerPoint. I'm going to pull up our website. So let me just get that real quick.
While he's pulling that up, I just wanted to add also, so for the competitive jobs, people a lot of the time get discouraged and steered away from those because of the $25 fee. But a lot of the times Joe and I have actually seen where people get the job just because they may have been the only person that signed up for it because nobody else wanted it, or nobody else wanted to sign up for it or pay that fee. So don't let the fee discourage you from signing up for it, because it may be the reason why you actually, get the job. You might have been the only one.
Yeah, that's a great point, Dominique. So we did recently, with the new year, we did update our homepage a little bit. We just added some new pictures, but all the links in our PowerPoint are still very similar. You just go to the New Jersey Civil Service website. On the left-hand side, it says Find a Job. You click on that. Drop down, you click on Job Announcements. And then you're going to click on View Open Competitive Announcements here. And I believe this week we have about 99 jobs. So we're always hiring, even during COVID. At the end of the day, state government still has to keep moving. So at any given time, maybe someone retires or they get a new job or get promoted, or they leave state government. So I'm going to scan through some of these real quick, and then I'll open up a couple just so you can see what the job description will look like. But as you remember from the presentation, the magnifying glass, these mean that you take an exam. Right now with COVID-19, our exams are a little bit different, where your resume is the exam. So what I mean by that is we have a criteria that we're looking to hire from, and then say that there's a point system, and say you have a bachelor's degree, for example, and that's worth 10 points. But then you're also maybe bilingual, maybe you speak Spanish, and that's another 5 points. And then they add up all these points that they're looking for based off your description of your resume, and they add them up, and that's how they get their points. The top 3 people that get an offer for an interview. And that's what they're just doing right now during COVID. They they did reach out to some employees to see if anyone would be interested in working the test site. So we should maybe be doing live testing in the next couple months or so. But scanning through this, you'll see social worker, substance abuse counselor, public health nurse, mechanic, public health planner. I know Monmouth, I believe you guys have a really good public health program, right? Um,
Yeah,
so,
we
you know,
do
that's
it.
something you might want to consider.
Yeah, I think, Joe, this could also be something very interesting to social work majors, sociology majors, counseling majors, folks like that. A lot of relevance. I have a quick question for you on that $25 fee, Joe or Dominique. Is that per application, or can you pay $25 and apply for 5 jobs?
Yeah, that's per application. Will. Now, if you are currently unemployed, you can work with your local unemployment office, and they can write a letter and waive that fee for you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And those are also just for those competitive positions of magnifying glasses. You'll see that the PDF icons, these are called not competitive. You're applying directly to that state agency. You don't need to take an exam, so there's no application fee for them. In some of those positions, you'll see a food service worker at a disability center, a staff nurse, a recreation assistant. I'm just scanning through. I really like, we mentioned that presentation, the trainee position. So I found one. You see this family service specialist trainee. You'll see at the end of the title, any trainee position will have that trainee at the end. And there's a couple on the website. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one real quick. And you'll see that it's just a one-page PDF, really easy. Dominique, can you read this top part out for me, please?
Sure. So the title is Family Service Specialist Trainee Social Worker. The location is Department of Children and Families, and the positions are various. So there's many positions, and it's a statewide distribution. So it's probably going to vary from county to county. I guess if you just tell them, where you're located or where you're from. The salary is $52,278.74. And at the bottom, it should tell you where to submit either it should tell you the requirements they're looking for and where to submit your resume.
So for this particular position, it says, for those interested, please forward a cover letter, area of interest, and resume electronically to dcf.resume@dcf.nj.gov. Another thing you'll see up top, it does say you do need your bachelor's degree for the trainee position. If you're graduating in May, I definitely encourage you to still apply, and just write your cover letter. Say that you're going to be graduating in May. You can start working in June or whenever you want to start working, and that will be a really good place to mention that. And Will and Jeff can help you write your resume and cover letter. There's also some really good templates on the Department of Labor website. But I definitely encourage you to, explain that in your cover letter, anything that you need to explain. Also, with the trainee positions, they do want that proof of that you're graduating soon. So I would recommend sending a copy of your unofficial transcripts, or you can go to your, I believe it's the registrar's office, and they can write a letter for you saying that you will be graduating in May, and you can go from there. And if you have already graduated, if you want to just take a picture of your diploma, you can include that in your application package.
Something else I'm gonna add. So you see, I don't know if you saw in that one, but it was saying basically that it wanted a specific bachelor's. All of them don't require a specific bachelor. Some of them just want you to have your bachelor's. I wanted to enforce that so that you don't look at the other jobs and think you have to have something specifically in that field. Some of them do prefer that, but you can just it's okay to just have a bachelor's in anything.
Yeah, that's a great point. Some of the skills that they're really looking for are, that you're a good writer, that you can think analytically, that you can be a good customer service. So, it's something to think about when you're applying. And Dominic and I like to mention this the 60-80 rule, where, you might not exactly qualify for everything that we're looking for on the application process. But that's really just a wish list. We really don't want, we don't need you to have everything. So if you have about 60 to 80% of what the departments are looking for, I would definitely recommend you apply. But if something is saying, 10 years experience and you only have, 2 years of internship experience, I definitely would not apply to that position. Just getting through this a little bit more, you see bus driver, paralegal, Clark Tempest, some more trainee positions. So there really is a wide range. I definitely would recommend getting through this. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can open up to any questions you might have.
Oh, I'm gonna put my email in the chat, and Joe probably put his in too, just so if you have any extra questions.
Thanks, Dominique. I was going to say, since there's only a few of us, if Alex and Hannah, if you want, you can, take your microphone off the chat and just ask us any questions, or even just introduce yourself, tell us what your major is, and we can kind of help you navigate what you might be interested in.
Hi, yeah, I'll go first. I am a graduate student with the School of Social Work. I'm graduating in May. And I got my BSW at Monmouth as well. I was in the 5-year advanced track. I'm really interested in pursuing maybe a political career in the future. I'm really passionate about climate justice and community organizing. I'm not going to be a clinical social worker. My concentration is global and community practice. So the reason I came to this event was because I thought it could be a good opportunity to get some more ideas about what potential job positions for me would look like. Because I think a lot of the general understanding for social workers is more clinically oriented. And I've been told by a lot of my professors that our jobs are going to be almost like unconventional social work, or we might not even have a job that's labeled social worker, but we're still going to use the skills that we learn and for the job, for the position.
Sure. Thanks, Hannah. That sounds great. Congratulations on graduating soon. That's exciting. That's really exciting.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And real quick too, I definitely recommend while you're applying to jobs is use LinkedIn as a tool to seek out alumni. For example, there was a gentleman named Chris. He works at Department of, I want to say, it might be Human Services or Children and Families. And he went to Monmouth. He's an assistant commissioner now with the state. So I know folks, they definitely love connecting to alumni. With you, Hannah, I would say, depending if you want to go that environmental route or more the social work, you could check out Board of Public Utilities. They're doing a lot with solar, renewable energy, and they do have this program. It's kind of tied into social work. They provide energy assistance to people that are in that that low income bracket that need help with assistance. They also just launched a really cool office called, I think it's like the Office of Diversity and Inclusion with them. And they look at providing kind of environmental justice and making sure that low income towns in New Jersey are getting the environmental needs that they need. So you can kind of think of like that and apply your social work background with that. Department of Environmental Protection, that might be a really good fit. Children and Families, they work a lot with DIFUS, and they are always hiring social workers if you want to go more that route. There is Department of Human Services. They work with seniors and those that are disabled. So there's a lot that really, could offer to you.
Joe, I just read in the my local Patch newspaper, I don't know if you know anything about this, and this is kind of tied into what Hannah said. I read somewhere that Governor Murphy is empowering a commission to look into the whole green energy movement and that he's a big fan of that, and that he is working with folks to promote that in New Jersey. And I'm just wondering that's just all I know about it, so it's not a lot. Do you think something like that could spill over into state jobs that somebody like Hannah would be interested in?
Yeah, so Hannah, I would recommend, I do know the director that is managing that. It's really actually just a one-person shop within the governor's office, and they're coordinating with the Department of BPU, Environmental Protection. I don't know, I think her name is Jane Cohen. I would recommend, we can try to see maybe starting off interning, I know you're qualified, you're graduating, but kind of getting your foot in the door with that office, because I don't know if they have quite the budget for that right now. But she is coordinating with Department of Environmental Protection and BPU, those two agencies. So I would definitely try to take a look at, see what they have to offer.
Great, thank you.
I guess I'm next.
Hi, Alex.
I'm Alex McCool, and I'm a first year, but I've got sophomore credits for political science with a concentration in international relations. I'm looking for something to do this summer. I'm trying to get dropping in applications for some internships. Figured I'd swing by here and see if you folks had any suggestions, advice, any specifics as far as leads that I could pursue there.
Yeah, let me, I'm just pulling up my email. So the internships, Alex, and a couple things let me share with you is my background is international relations. And with working at a state government, at first you might not think that there's opportunities with international affairs, but there is. They have the Economic Development Authority. They work with a lot of international businesses that bring them to New Jersey. There's an International Trade Commission within the Department of Secretary of State's office, and they work with imports and exports with international goods. So that's something you might want to consider. But with internships, we just sent a request out to state agencies if they had any summer internships. So let me just pull that up for you both real quick. Because we got a couple the good ones. Now the internships are more informal. They don't really promote through our office. It's really, each state agency, since it's at their discretion, usually they'll post on their website. So I'm looking, there is the Economic Development Authority. I'm going to put this in the chat. They just sent me something. It's really a blurb about them, but they have on their website their link and what they're looking for. So I just put that in the chat, the EDA, and that, Alex, would probably be really good for both of you, actually, Hannah, too, because Hannah, they're working on a lot of the renewable energy stuff at EDA. They kind of all cross over some of the state agencies. So let me pull that up. Let me see. Department of Transportation, they put their internship on hold. I'm just reading this email chain. I know that Department of Education, they have a really good internship program. They might be putting on hold again, COVID, but they hire about 50 interns every summer, and they've run a really good internship program. Let me just see. It looks like that's the only one that emailed us back.
Joe, as we get closer to the summer, do you think internships will increase, summer internships, postings?
I would think so. What I would recommend is, since I mentioned how they are so informal, make sure you follow them on LinkedIn, on Twitter. They all have their own Facebook pages, and you can follow them on Instagram and all that stuff, and they'll post when they have a job opening for the summer as well. So that's something I'd recommend. Let me just look real quick and see if there's. I think there might be one other one. Department of Health. They actually do have some interns. They do have amazing. They said amazing internship opportunity. So let me copy that into the chat. It might have expired. I'm gonna put Department of Health. I would just go on their website. With COVID-19, they have a lot of stuff going on through the Department of Health. So I know it's not exactly what you had mentioned, but they're a hot agency, to check out right now with COVID-19. Is there any other questions? All right, well, I guess what the closing note is, I know with COVID-19 that it's scary, a lot's going on, but I think what's really nice about public service is at the end of the day, we still have to keep our government moving. We have to keep the roads paved and the trains running and help people with affordable housing and food assistance. So I think public service is a really nice way to get back and get involved. Feel free to add Dominique and I on LinkedIn. As Jeff knows, I'm always posting positions on my LinkedIn page. I'll even, with those internships, I'll try to dig some up and I'll post on LinkedIn, or if you want to email me, I'll put in the chat my email, and I'll try to see with the internships what I can send over. But again, thank you so much for joining. Dominique, do you have any ending comments before we finish up?
I know that coming out of college, or even just trying to find something, out of college, because everyone wants you to have all this experience, the trainee positions, I hope that you guys saw that they will actually, give you classes. Like the agency for me, they've paid for me to be more proficient in Microsoft Word, to get certified in diversity and inclusion and different other things like that. So definitely don't feel like you have to know 100% everything what you're doing. There are classes that you can take that will help prepare you for what you're going to be doing. So
Thank you. Joe and Dominique, thank you very much for doing this. We appreciate it. Hannah and Alex, thanks for coming by. If you misplace any numbers or email addresses, or you want more information about the state, get in touch with Career Services. That's me or Jeff Mass, you see on the call. We have all this information on file. We can give it to you anytime. And we're going to post this video on our website. So encourage your friends or colleagues or peers or other students, who want to check it out. I guess, about a week or so, Jeff, we'll have it up on the site. Yeah. Okay. Well, unless there's any other questions, again, thanks everybody for showing up. Really appreciate it. Joe, Dominique, always good to see you guys again. Hope we'll see you next year. I may not be here, but Jeff, maybe he might be running.
Yeah. Congratulations, Will, and thank you both again so much for having us. And thanks, Alex and Hannah.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Okay, guys, have a great evening.
Be safe.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.